All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and rock and roll, and then as if anyone else hops in, I'll just include them and they can get caught up. All right, so thank you all for joining me. My name is Turney and I'm the portfolio director for CK Representation. A few of you probably knew me back when I was a Central America portfolio manager, but just a little bit of background about myself. I actually began selling trips to Peru in 2015 for Paragon Expeditions and also to Patagonia. So prior to my knowledge of Central America, my specialty was really Peru and Patagonia, and then Clark took me under his wing, and essentially I was able to become the Central America portfolio manager. So since he's passed, we went through a rebuilding period, and thanks to Jackie, his wife, she was able to become the owner of the company. And we just decided what's best is to carry on the company in honor of Clark, to keep his soul and spirit alive through this amazing portfolio of hotels, which he curated over more than a decade time span of just going around the United States and Canada and making these wonderful connections. And of course, his knowledge of Latin America. So I'll continue to do my best and be the resource for you guys. And basically the starting point for any time you need somebody to talk to and help curate a really amazing adventure itinerary for your clients. So yeah, that basically reflects what we do. And here's a little list of the hotels we work with. And I'm pretty much going to go from the southern point of South America, Chile, and all the way up to Guatemala, because as of now, we only work with Central and South America hotels. So we changed the team up a little bit. As I mentioned, I'm the portfolio director right now. We're working with a total of 25 different hotels. So Whitney, she's been with us for a while now. She actually was running our social media since I think like 2018, and I was on the same fam trip as her to Galapagos with Clark in 2018. So it wouldn't be possible to be here without her right now. And Allison, we've recently added her, so I'm sure all of you will be having the opportunity to meet her eventually. But she is the one who created this brochure, and she also created the logo for CK Representation and even the website. Her and her husband and kids are friends with Clark's family in Marin County. And she's just a really, really smart woman. She's been super helpful, and she'll be assisting me with the portfolio for the foreseeable future. So on to the hotels, and just a quick briefing, like all of these hotels I could go through and show you the rooms and all the experiences, but we'd be here for a couple of hours. So with this brochure, what I'm going to do is explain the logistics of getting to each hotel and just a few highlights about what makes them so special. So we'll be able to knock this out in about 20 minutes, and then I'll save the last 5 minutes for questions. All right, so in Chile, right now we're only working with Awasi, and that's Awasi Atacama and Awasi Patagonia. Um, I like to call this combination, if you go to both of them, like the fire and ice tour, because when you come to Awasi, it's mostly desert and pretty much like going to Mars. It's a completely different experience and landscape than you've ever seen. And then, of course, Awasi, Patagonia, that's where you'll find the beautiful mountains and more blue, kind of glacial coloring. But in order to get to either of them, you have to fly into Santiago and then take either a short flight to Calama, 90-minute drive to Awasi, Atacama, and then you can even go from one to the other in a single day. If you fly back from Calama in the morning, get to Santiago, then you can connect to a flight to either Puerto Natales or Punta Arenas. This is where most of the boats that go to Antarctica meet up in Punta Arenas. So from Puerto Natales, 2 hours, Punta Arenas, about 3.5. So Awasi, what makes it truly special is that every guest who goes, every group, they get their own driver and guide. So since there are only 12 rooms, it is more of a private itinerary throughout the whole experience. And what I think also makes it super special is beside the fact of having a guide and a driver, Atacama and especially Torres del Paine have become quite popular areas for tourism. So there are a lot of group tours and different types of activities you can do. But what Awasi does is kind of make their own routes. So you can still see these amazing places, but not so much with crowds. So that's the whole idea is to create really cool private experiences where you get to see the highlighted places, but not so much in, a crowded area. And of course, they're part of Reliance Chateau. So when you come back at night, you get a five-course meal, all paired with wine. And this is all fully inclusive. So you pay one price, and then you get all of the, alcohol tours, food, your stay, everything is included. We don't want guests to come here feeling like they have to bust out their wallet and pay more. But what's most important about especially Wasi Patagonia is it's seasonal, September to April. And for this upcoming holiday season, it's already completely sold out. There is a wait list. However, even for 2026 festive, it's building up. So my pro tip is to send your clients there either before December or after January because there's more availability and the weather still tends to be pretty amazing during those times. So Argentina. We're only working with two hotels here. One of them is the third Awasi Hotel, Iguazu, and then Estancia Cristina in the Argentine side of Patagonia. So this itinerary, if you combine the two, is more like jungle and ice, which is really cool because Awasi Iguazu, if you come here around November, December, even like right now, it's more it's cooler weather. So it's not like going to Costa Rica where you're in the jungle sweating and super hot. It's more temperate. So you can do jungle combined with Patagonia. And one quick note, even though Estancia Cristina and Torres del Paine look very close to each other on the map, which they are, there's a massive glacier and Andean mountain range that splits the two. So unfortunately, there's no flights or helicopters that can go from one to the other. Um, if you're trying to fly, basically what you have to do is return back to Buenos Aires, fly to Santiago, and then come all the way back down to Puerto Natales. However, if you work with a DMC, most are able to arrange the transfer. So you can go from El Calafate to Torres del Paine and Puerto Natales, but it's anywhere from like an 8 to 10 hour transfer. Okay, so Awasi, it's kind of similar to Chile. Like if you arrive in Buenos Aires, you can fly to Iguazu, 30-minute ride to Iguazu, or fly to El Calafate. And getting to Estancia Cristina is a little more difficult, and I'll tell you why. But Awasi, Iguazu, it's 14 bedrooms, and it's the same concept as the other two. You get your own driver and guide, which for Iguazu is specifically really nice. Because 98% of the people who go to Iguazu go see the falls, and then they either go home or return to their next destination. But with Iguazu, they've taken their concept of private tours to the next level because no one was really offering tours of like the national park or the surrounding regions that are accessible from Iguazu. So, for example, when I arrived, I went directly to the falls. And then the next day, I did a full day tour of the national park. And they even have like a family they work with who makes you asado barbecue by the lake. That day I saw a puma, millions of butterflies, some rare Andean duck, and a lot of cool animals. So for me, it's one of the best jungle experiences to offer in all of Latin America, especially with the opportunity of coming to Estancia Cristina afterwards. So unlike Torres del Paine, where you can just arrive at Puerto Natales and go directly there in one day, the way Estancia Cristina works is you arrive by boat. So when you go from Buenos Aires to El Calafate, it's important to stay a night in the town, which is a lot of fun. It's like a little mountain town, maybe similar to like Vail or something. not as upscale, but they have a lot of breweries, some cool restaurants, shops in case you forgot any of your cold gear. And then the next day, you go to a 30-minute boat ride, 30-minute drive to the boat, and then the boat takes you across this glacial lake all the way to Estancia Cristina. And on the way, you get to go see the Uppsala Glacier on the boat. So this one's only 20 rooms, but it's, according to Clark, this was his place. Like he loved this so much because you completely detach from everything and it's completely off the beaten path. But it's still fully inclusive. So you can do horseback riding, go to the glacier, do a hike of the Fossil Canyon, tons of different experiences to do. So we always recommend 2 or 3 nights before returning back on boat. So Brazil, we only work with one hotel, and that's the BT project, which is located about 4 hour drive from Rio or Sao Paulo. Or you can fly from fly from Sao Paulo to Juiz de Fora. Or you can do a private charter flight directly onto the property. Because a BT project is actually about a 5,000 acre ranch, which is just unbelievable. I try to compare it to Rancho Santana just to give people some idea of what it's like. But instead of being on 5 private beaches, it's got these Burning Man structures, which the owner, who essentially owned a mine in Brazil for many years, he decided he did a lot of damage to the environment. So what can he do to reverse that? Well, he bought 5,000 acres next to Ibitipoca National Park. So it's his project to essentially keep this a hotel concept, which people around the world can come to for the next several centuries, and do horseback riding. There's tons of waterfalls and like hidden oases among the property. And the way that it works is there's one lodge in Jano that's more like a traditional kind of hotel, 8 bedrooms, restaurant, full service. And then the BT Village are these little houses scattered among the property that you can rent and stay at. Same with remote. So the best way to experience this is either by horseback or e-mountain bike, going from lodge to lodge. Okay, so we're moving to Peru. And like I said, this is kind of the birthplace of CK representation and where I even met Clark. So don't get overwhelmed. We work with quite a few hotels here in Peru, but what's amazing is it's all owned by the same family. So Inca Terra, Ignacio Macias was originally the GM, and then he broke off and created these hotels that are under the umbrella of Andean. So Titilaca, Circa, Puquio, and Tinahani, they're kind of a new concept, trying to create a southern route, something different than just the Machu Picchu route. So to break it down and make it most easy for everyone, if you get a request for Peru and the guest hasn't been there, they're going to ask for Machu Picchu. So that's the route to know about right here. Arrive in Cusco, go directly to the Sacred Valley at Urubamba, and then continue to Pueblo and come back to Cusco at La Casona. The Amazon lodges, there's flights directly from Lima or from Cusco. So some people will go to those before they go to Machu Picchu, but I recommend going afterwards, so that when you leave, you can go to Lima, spend one night, maybe do a food tour, catch a sunset, and then return home. This southern route, it's mostly like if someone finishes off at Cusco and they want more of an adventure, they can either drive all the way to Ilaca or Puquio. And thankfully now there's Tinahani, which cuts the drive in half. So if you drive from Cusco to Tinahani, it's about 4.5 hours. And this is like 6 tented camps that are in the middle of Tinahani National Park. It's kind of a mix of like desert, red rocks, and Andean mountains. So it's a very unique region that's now accessible. So here's some pictures of each. But just remember, most people are going to Urubamba, Pueblo, and Cusco, and then they have the option to extend their journey to either one of the Amazon lodges or one of these new unique properties. Puquio, it's at the Colca Canyon, across the canyon from the Belmont, and it's 4 tented camps and 4 brick and mortar rooms for families. And of course, Lake Titicaca, Titicaca is absolutely known as the most amazing hotel in that region. And this is where guests will come to stay and see the Uros Island or the Tequila and floating Uros Islands. So let's move on to Ecuador. There's basically one unique uh, itinerary that we promote for this country. And if anyone knows Galapagos, mostly you think of a boat, right? Well, this concept of Galapagos Safari Camp, Clark has worked with Michael and Stephanie, the owners, since basically the inception of the hotel. And it's mocked after like the safari or like African safari camps. So it gives guests the opportunity to stay on land versus going to boat and have a more flexible itinerary. And guests, they can still go to the uninhabited islands and see all the different animals, but they just have the opportunity to return every day to the hotel and also do more private land excursions like going to the craters or the lava tunnels or a few of the different beaches on Santa Cruz. So the way it works is most people fly into Quito and the flights arrive late at night. So we recommend one night at the airport hotel, the next morning come to Galapagos Safari Camp. But at the end, the flights return usually to US late at night or like 1 in the morning. So what you can do is go to Hacienda Zuleta, about 90 minutes away. And it's a more traditional kind of like Andean stay. So this hotel was actually owned by the president of Ecuador, and now his grandson, Fernando, is the owner. And if you've ever been to a conference where Fernando is there, or even 100 yards within distance of the guy, you know who he is. He's a very exuberant, passionate person. So staying here, you know, him and his family will come and show you like his grandfather's sword, some of the relics. And on top of that, they have horses that you can take to an Andean condor and bear sanctuary. So this is a really cool way to experience a different side of Ecuador without having to stay at the airport hotel. All right, so Colombia, I'm going to be straightforward with you guys. I don't know a whole lot because I'm going in 9 days actually to Bogota to experience Hacienda Bambusa and Casillari. But these are just two completely off the beaten path, amazing hotels. Bambusa, not so much. It's accessible really from any airport in Colombia, as long as you get to Armenia or Pereira. And Armenia, it's a 30-minute drive. Pereira, it's about an hour and a half drive to Bambusa. And this is the coffee region. Casillari is in Barichara, and it's only 4 rooms in a really amazing location, basically next to a massive canyon where you can do whitewater rafting and mountain biking, and lots of activities. Clark explained it as it's like a colonial town that's lost in time. So it's still very well preserved and just a small community of native Colombians. So here's Hacienda Bambusa. They actually just added a lot of plunge pools to all the rooms. So there's been some updates, and obviously when I'm there, I'll take photos and post on our social media about everything. So keep in touch that way. All right, so we're going to hop into Central America, and this is the hotels we're working with in Costa Rica right now. If any of you guys met with me over the last 3 years, you might be a little confused because we had about 9 or even I think maybe 11 properties who we were working with in Costa Rica at that time. But with me being the portfolio director and not having a whole lot of help right now, we decided to continue with Cayuga Collection because we have a great relationship with them. That Hans is actually who convinced Clark to continue working or to start working with them in Central America. So all these hotels you'll see in Central America are under the Cayuga Collection umbrella, which means they're individually owned. But Cayuga is a sustainable hospitality management company. But also the nice thing is that if you want to combine a few of these hotels, Cayuga has one B2B team that I can connect you to, making it really easy to make your reservation or of course, like any of the hotels in our portfolio, I can connect you directly to them or DMC who can handle it. So yeah, let's continue on. And basically how it works in Costa Rica is if you're in San Jose, you can fly to really any of the hotels that we work with, making it an hour drive from that airport, minus Monteverde because it's on the cloud forest, so you can't access it by a runway. So Reina del Mar, this is in Manuel Antonio. It's either a 3.5 hour drive from San Jose or a 20-minute flight from Capos to Capos, and then 15-minute ride to the hotel. The important thing to know is this is the only hotel in Manuel Antonio that's actually located on the beach. And we call it Costa Rica 101 because you can do just about any jungle or ocean activity while you're staying at Arena Del Mar. And it's super family friendly. One of my personal favorites of the entire portfolio is Hotel Aguas Claras, located on the Caribbean side of Costa Rica in Puerto Viejo. So essentially, it's either a 5 hour drive from San Jose or a 45-minute flight to Limon, and then about an hour drive from Limon to Aguas Claras. But it also combines really well with Pequary Lodge, because the Pequary River, it's pretty much empties out right here. So you can raft to Pequary, raft out, get picked up in Siquires, and then continue on about a 2 hour drive to Aguas Claras. So keep that in mind. It's kind of like the best Caribbean route that we can recommend. And then Cura, this is a Virtuoso hotel within the Cayuga Collection, and it's only 8 suites, all looking out to Marino Bay in the National Park. But what's exciting is we actually just made a new honeymoon package. So any guests who want the honeymoon package, we can offer to you, and the DMCs will know about it as well. Um, we'll do round trip transportation from San Jose or Capos, and it's all meals included, a guided tour of the national park, like a rum or cocktail making class, and a bottle of wine per day. Monteverde, as I mentioned earlier, it can be accessed from driving from La Beria or San Jose. And this is a great spot to spend 2 or 3 nights to enjoy the cloud forest. This is where like the original canopy tour was created. And it's a lot cooler. So it's great to combine with the beach to enjoy a few days up in the mountains, cooler weather, and then go down to the more humid um, ocean. So we're running out of time. I'm just going to fly through Panama. We work with Isa Palenque, and it's got 6 bedrooms, about a 6 bedroom house that you can rent, which comes with a chef and a bartender, or 8 casitas that you can individually rent from with a pool and restaurant as well. So this one's fully inclusive because it's on a 500-acre private island, and it's accessible from David Airport. So it combines really well with a few nights in Panama City. Nicaragua, we work with Rancho Santana. It's the only property in Central America outside of the Cayuga Collection who we're now working with, and Jicaro, which is part of the Cayuga Collection. So the itinerary that we always suggest is arriving in Managua, and then instead of going directly to Rancho Santana, do an hour drive to Granada, and then come stay at the island. So Jicaro is an 8 bedroom, 8 casitas on a freshwater island, 20-minute boat ride from Granada. So if you stay here for 2 nights, you can do the city tour of Granada, and you can also go do the tour of Volcan Mombacho and Masaya. And then following that, it's only like a 1.5, 2 hour drive to Rancho Santana. And once you arrive to Rancho Santana, of course, it's hard to leave because it's a 2,700-acre property with a 17-bedroom hotel, 28 homes to rent from throughout the property, and 33 3-bedroom beachside condos. So a little for something for everybody here. There's a surf shop on site, yoga studio, a spa. There's horseback riding. You can do a catamaran, golf, mountain biking, you name it. It can be done at Rancho Santana. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for everyone. Last but not least is Guatemala. This is the newest addition to Cayuga Collection, and we're super excited to be working with them because it's essentially the gateway to Tikal. So when you come to Guatemala City, just take a flight to Flores, It's about a 1 hour flight. And then you arrive 5 minutes from the lake, do a quick transfer, and then a 20-minute boat ride brings you here to Balantiku, which is 16 bedrooms scattered among this property, a spa with like a Mayan-inspired sauna, a jacuzzi, and it's about an hour and a half drive to Tikal, which is really cool because when you come back, you arrive at Flores around 5:30 p.m. and take the boat back to Balantiku during the sunset. So you've got this amazing day where you get to see the Mayan ruins, and then you get to catch an amazing sunset. And my pro tip here is basically if guests maybe are too old or fragile to get to Peru or can't handle the altitude and they still want to see some seriously intact, amazing architecture from centuries ago, Tikal is a great option because it's about 1,000 feet sea level, if that, and much more accessible. So yeah, there's the presentation. I hope it wasn't too much of a information overload, but just want to let you guys know where we're at and who we're working with. Um, so yeah, I'll leave it open for a few minutes if anyone wants to ask questions. And thanks a lot for joining.